The world's first empire. The Assyrian people lived 4,500 years ago in the Middle East, mainly in a small area in the rich fields of central Iraq. The most well-known and most powerful Assyrian empire, which lasted from 912 BC to 612 BC, was the Neo-Assyrian Empire. The Neo-Assyrian Empire is known for its very powerful kings, who each captured new cities and lands. Adad-nirari II and later Shalmaneser III and his son expanded the empire from central Iraq to cover most of modern-day Iraq and parts of Turkey. A war machine. The Assyrians became powerful because they created new ways to make war. Their use of iron allowed them to make strong weapons. They learned to fight with big machines to break the walls of cities. The Assyrians also learned how to use chariots and built armies of fast horsemen. A big expansion. The Assyrians could quickly capture cities and make themselves richer and more powerful. Under the rule of Tiglath-Pileser III and Shalmaneser V, the Neo-Assyrians captured Babylon in 729 BC and later Israel. In 671 BC, Egypt came under Assyrian control too. Sargon II was a great military leader who not only built the empire but improved roads and laws. After Sargon II died, his son moved the capital to Nineveh, which he restored. The empire's cities were busy and full of artists. There were great libraries and great works of art, beautiful buildings, and huge palaces. The Cruel Assyrians. The Assyrians controlled their empire by force. But it became too big and too difficult to control as the empire covered the whole of the Middle East. Each time the Assyrians attacked a city, they were very cruel and killed thousands of people, often in terrible ways. They took all the treasure and ordered everyone to be loyal to them. They forced people to forget their own culture and become Assyrians. Those that did not were punished. The Assyrians also made many people become slaves and live thousands of kilometers away from their homes. The Assyrians soon learned that this was not the way to control their people. In 612 BC, the many enemies of the Neo-Assyrians came together to attack the city of Nineveh. The city was destroyed and burned to the ground. After that, the area was not built back up. Slowly, the ruins were buried and the city was lost to the desert. Life from the ruins. Little was known of the Assyrians until 1847, when a British diplomat and archaeologist named Austin Henry Layard discovered Sennacherib's palace. King Sennacherib reigned the Assyrian Empire from 704 to 681 BC. He was the son of Sargon II, and it was he who moved the capital to Nineveh. The palace lay buried and forgotten for almost 2,500 years until Layard discovered it. Cultural legacy. The history of the Neo-Assyrians would not be complete without telling the story of its achievements. First, the 10,000 clay tablets in the famous Library of Ashurbanipal were not destroyed. They gave us a new understanding of world history and culture. The Neo-Assyrians also created many of the basic things we still use today. They were the first to use locks and keys, and they divided time into units of 60. They built paved roads, made the first postal system, libraries, toilets, and guitars, and they also made the first arch. Their ideas would also shape how future kings would run empires. The Assyrians were the first people to understand that to run an empire well, it needed to be broken into smaller areas, each with its own governors who report to a leader. We see this model in the USA and in other countries today. Cultural union. Because their empire was so large, and they had forced other cultures to become Assyrian, the people of the area grew to have a more singular identity. This prepared the way for the religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Nineveh is also in the Bible. It is called the City of Bloodshed. In one story, the prophet Jonah, when told to go there, did not want to go. He ran away on a ship, and this is where we read about Jonah being swallowed by a whale. Lessons learned. Many of the empires that were to follow later on did not make the mistakes of the Assyrians. The great Persian Empire of Cyrus II and Darius I had kind kings who understood that cruelty and terror do not win loyal subjects. Alexander the Great and the Romans also learned these lessons of history. Even today, the world has much to learn from the Assyrians about how to live and how to treat others.